Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing some Evil Twin Unchained test hands. So I'm really excited this for you guys because this was actually suggested to me by one of my patrons, Jin. And this deck is a really awesome deck that combines together two incredibly powerful archetypes into one deck that have some insane synergy because they're both Fiend decks and both Link decks, which is really amazing because they can climb into other Link monsters using both of the engines. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards like getting your name searched for a single video, getting a signed cards mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron along with test hands. And definitely give Jin some love down in the comments down below for suggesting such an awesome deck. So let's go ahead and shuffle up the deck a little bit, and then we're going to go ahead and pile shuffle because you guys know that is dad rule number one, is that you have to pile shuffle your deck, because if you don't, you might brick. In this deck, it would be a little bit tough to actually brick because you have so many searchers in this deck and all of your Unchained monsters actually float, which is really cool. Even the Unchained spells and traps float if they're destroyed, which is really amazing. I really love that effect of my Unchained monsters and the Unchained spells and traps, that they all float, because a lot of the cards in the deck actually pop, and it lets you pop your own cards to be able to special summon additional cards from the deck. So let's go ahead and shuffle up the deck and see what we can pull off, because we have some really insane plays to show you guys. So let's go ahead and see what we can do. So we're going to go ahead and draw into a copy of our Kill, Secret Password, the Fire Twin, a copy of the Unchained Chamber, or Abominable Chamber of the Unchained, and a copy of Sunny Snitch. So this is an incredible opening hand because you have a copy of the Unchained spells or traps, you have the Fire Twin, and you have a copy of your Kill, and you even have two copies of Ash Blossom Bait, which is really cool for this deck. So we're going to go ahead and activate the copy of the Sunny Snitch, which Sunny Snitch is going to let us search from the deck, which you can, even if you want to, activate the copy of the Secret Password to let you add a copy of a Live Twin from the deck and say that it does get Ash Blossomed, because if it does, you're just going to go full combo at this point and go into some really insane plays if they do stop this, because you're trying to search a copy of Sunny Snitch, which we already have in the hand. So you're using this card as bait to be able to see if your opponent has anything. But let's say they don't, and we're going to search out the copy of the Sunny Snitch. It's not going to matter because we're not going to be using two of them in a turn, but it does help to get the second one out of the deck so we don't draw into it. So at this point, we're going to use the copy of the Sunny Snitch that we added from our deck to our hand, or the one we already had in our hand. It doesn't super matter. And we're going to add from our deck to our hand a copy of a Live Twin monster. So once we add that card from our deck to our hand, we're going to add a copy of this card to our hand to be able to grab another card, because this card has the ability to add any Live Twin monster from our deck to our hand, and we already have a normal summon, so we're going to add that copy of the Kill Frost from our deck to our hand so we can go into some really cool plays later on. So at this point, we're going to then normal summon out to our side of the field the copy of the Kill monster, and once we normal summon her out to the field, she's going to let us special summon out a copy of Lilla. Lilla is going to be able to go in for an additional play because we're going to be able to link summon at this point. Now, the important thing about this particular setup is, depending on what you have in your hand, depends on the Evil Twin monster you want to go for first. If you want to summon out a copy of your Lilla first, then you're going to pop a card. If you're going to summon out your copy of Kill first, then you're going to actually have the ability to draw a card. So it depends on which one of these two monsters that you want to resolve. So whichever one you summon first is the one you're going to summon last, which is important to keep in mind as you're playing this deck, because as you play through the build, you're going to see different advantages, like the effects of my Fire Twin being able to pop the copy of the Abominable Chamber and going into Rage later on. So I don't need to summon out the Lilla, because normally in normal circumstances, if I don't have the copy of the Fire Twin, I'll actually summon out the Lilla so I can go into a Rage later on in the combo. So let's go ahead and show you guys what you do if you summon out the copy of the Kill first. So we're going to go ahead and link these two monsters away. Summon out the Kill over here. Kill is going to use her effect. She does lock us into Fiend monsters from here on out, but that's totally fine because, well, you don't need to summon anything from the extra deck except for Fiends, because that's the only thing we're playing in the extra deck. We're going to summon out the copy of the Lilla. We're then going to link summon these two monsters away and summon out the copy of the Lilla from the extra deck over here. And then her effect is going to go off, and we can special summon out the copy of the Kill, giving us an additional draw. But if you wanted to wait it out and not go full combo, that's the basic play of how you go into your evil twin monsters to let you climb into a copy of Trouble Sunny and get you a draw or a pop. So that's very important to keep in mind as you're playing through this particular deck. But let's take a step back and let's not go completely there just yet. You can back up a little bit if you want to and go in for additional plays. But let's just go ahead and leave it like this because we probably won't draw into the copy of Soul of Disasters. So we're going to go ahead and draw into a copy of Effect Veiler at this point because we do special summon out the copy of the Kiskill and she lets us draw a card. So at this point we are locked into Fiend monsters, but that's fine because all we're going to summon is Fiends. So you can set this card to your side of the field, and once you do, you can use the copy of the Aruhan in your hand, and then once you summon out the copy of Aruha or the Fire Twin, you can pop this card on your side of the field because it has the ability that you can target a card you control and then pop it, and if you do, you get to special summon him from your hand. So we're going to target this, special summon him to the field, and this gets popped, and then the effect of the Aruha will let us special summon from the deck a copy of the Sorama, and then Sorama will go off the copy of the Chamber because Chamber is been popped by the copy of the Aruha, and then a copy of the Sorama will let us reset this card to our side of the field and then pop a card, which is the Fire Twin, and then the Fire Twin will actually let us special summon from the deck a copy of our Disasters, which is the cool thing about this because we actually got a recovery of a card and we got to special summon out the copy of Disasters. So at this point, we're going to start cleaning up the board a little bit to go into some other plays that we want to set up. So I'm going to go ahead and link away the copy of the Lilla and the Kissikill to summon out my copy of Trouble Sunny. And then we're going to link these two away on our side of the field to summon out a copy of Rage. Rage is very important to summon to your side of the field because the copy of Rage is going to let us link summon on our opponent's turn using an opponent's monster, which is really cool. So this isn't an ideal setup. This is like one of the best setups that you can get in this deck. There's other combos for the deck, there's other insane plays for the deck, but this is my usual line that I set up in this deck because it's going to get you a lot of different advantages and going to get you a lot of different plays. Now keep in mind, you don't want to summon them in a line like this. If you can avoid it, you might want to activate the Trouble Sunny down here, Sunny Snitch down here, because you don't want to get Iron Dragoned or give them free Mech Knights if they're playing that. But it does come up every so often, so you want to watch where you're putting your cards in your zones, so keep that in mind. But as we're playing through the deck, let's say that our opponent goes ahead and goes into their turn and they special summon out a monster. We can actually link it away with the copy of the Rage, or we can actually tag out the copy of Sunny, which usually you're going to want to tag out the Sunny first to summon out your copy of your Kissikill and your Lilla, which will give you a pop against the opponent with the copy of the Lilla, which we're going to use these dice right here to count the interruptions. So we've already gotten one interruption against the opponent. Let's use the Timaeus dice because you can see that a little bit better on the camera. So we're going to use the copy of the Timaeus dice. So we've already gotten one because the copy of Lilla is going to give us one card pop. We have the effect of the Effect Veiler that is going to give us a second disruption or negation. And then at this point, you can use the copy of the Kissikill to actually draw a card because they were summoned at the exact same time. Then you can link away a card against your opponent and special summon out another card, which is going to get us 3 with the copy of Rage to be able to summon out from our extra deck the copy of Nightmare Unicorn. Nightmare Unicorn is going to go off and let us discard a card, which doesn't super matter which one we discard. I will probably discard the copy of the Kissikill from my hand because I don't super need that one. You can discard the copy of the Frost from your hand, but I like to keep Frost in case I can get to a Lilla, which I can with this. And if I do get Ash Blossomed, I can still special summon this out to my side of the field and get additional plays. So I'm going to go ahead and discard the normal summon because from here on out, I'm probably not going to have any more interruptions against me. So we're going to go ahead and say that was 4. So we had 4 interruptions or negates against our opponents, which is really good. Which then, at the end phase of your opponent's turn, you can activate the Abominable Chamber of the Unchained, and you can actually revive back your copy of Rage because this card has another effect besides it getting popped. You can special summon an Unchained monster from your hand or graveyard, so we can actually bring back the Unchained Soul of Rage back to our side of the field off the copy of the Abominable Chamber because this is essentially a set monster reborn or a back to the front, which is really good. So once we go ahead and do that, we're going to go into our turn and we're going to draw a card. We then can link away away this card against the opponent, we're going to summon out a link monster from the extra deck by using our opponent's monsters. So you can actually summon out a copy of Anguish to your side of the field if you want to summon out that card and get rid of an opponent's card. We can then, if you want to, instead of going there first, you can keep that card on our side of the field, because at this point we're starting the counter over of outing our opponent's cards. Let's go ahead and do it a little bit differently, and let's go ahead and link these two monsters away on our side of the field to summon out a second Trouble Sunny, just to go ahead and start cleaning up the board a little bit. We can then go ahead and special summon out a copy, or normal summon out the copy of the Kiss-a-Kill monster if we just want to normal summon this card out to the field to give us additional link materials to get rid of, which is going to help out a little bit for this particular play. Now we do have this card right here, which is important to keep in mind. You will need to kind of play around with your field depending on what you want to resolve in what particular position. It's totally up to you. You can bring the Rage back and be able to link it away to help you climb into other plays, but if you want to, you can go ahead and link these two monsters away on your side of the field and go in for a copy of Nightmare Griffin, which is going to completely lock down your opponent, because now at this point everything that's not linked is going to make it so they can't actually activate those monsters' effects. This is really, really good to be able to set up, because if you set this card up, it's essentially a skill drain. And it also has the ability that when it's link summoned, you can discard a card from your hand, which can be the copy of the Sunny Snitch that we had in our hand, to be able to set on our side of the field one of our spells or traps from the graveyard, but it cannot be activated this turn. Now the reason I actually brought back the copy of Rage is because I can link summon using it later on, but if it does get destroyed, it still can activate, which is really neat. So I did bring that card back to be able to go in for additional plays, because it lets us target a fiend in the graveyard and add it back to the hand, which can be our Aruha or the Fire Twin, and be able to pop another card on the field. We also have the Effect Veiler in the hand, so this is skill drain now, and you can also use this card later on to link away right here. And then when we discard that card to set that card back to the field, the copy of Nightmare Griffin will actually let us draw a card, which is an Imperial Order. We now have an Imperial Order that we can set to our side of the field to lock our opponent down from spells, and we are skill draining them as well, which is really good. And we get a draw and a special summon, or a draw and a pop on our next turn by using the Sunny Snitch, which is really good because you have even more synergy with this deck. So now at this point, you can basically, during your opponent's turn, you can just drop this card and be able to go back into the two other monsters, which is why I summoned the copy of the Nightmare Griffin here, to be able to get two pops, or a pop against the opponent and another draw, into a copy of the Abominable Unchained Soul, which is really, really good to lock down the opponent. So this is an ideal setup. You're going to be able to go into the grind game with this deck, which is the important thing to keep in mind as you're playing this particular build. But keep in mind that you're not going to be able to activate, when you activate that copy of Nightmare Griffin, the card that you reset to your field. Now keep in mind, this is the ideal field. You're going to be able to go into the grind game with this deck regardless of the setup, which is what's really cool, because all of your cards just about float, which is important. Then it helps out to make out with your makes out with different plays with the effects of your Unchained cards being able to float, and your copies of your Live Twins and Evil Twins being able to be negated very easily. The copies of the Unchained monsters are going to be able to make up for that by special summoning themselves and floating, which is really important to keep in mind as you're playing this deck. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for the next test hands. We're going to draw into a copy of the Abominable Chamber of the Unchained, a copy of the Fire Twin, an Ash Blossom, a copy of Called by the Grave, and let's see what we can draw into. We draw into an Abomination's Prison. Now the really neat thing is basically at this point, you kind of go back into just playing Unchained, because we don't have any of the Live Twin monsters, which is fine. You can still go in for plenty of plays with Unchained. So we're going to go ahead and activate the copy of the Abomination's Prison. And once we activate that card, we're going to be able to add from our deck to our hand a copy of the Abominable Unchained Soul. That's a card I would particularly grab in this particular position because I already have the Fire Twin in my hand and I have a spell or trap to go in for another play. And our opponent might not know what we're playing if we haven't shown the extra deck off. We might actually have some really surprise cards in here that catch them off guard. So at this point, we're going to activate the copy copy of the Called by the Grave to be able to stop a hand trap that our opponent might be playing against us, like an Ash Blossom. So at this point, we've got our Unchained card. It can be any of our Unchained cards that card can grab, and then we're going to set a copy of the Abominable Chamber of the Unchained. Once we set that card to the field, you can activate the copy of the Aruha and be able to pop that card that's face down, special summon this card out to your field, and then your copy of your Abominable Chamber will let us special summon out another card to our side of the field, which I like to special summon out the copy of Sorima, and then Sorima will let us special summon another card by setting the Abominable Chamber or a copy of Abomination's Prison, which you've already gotten its effect off once this turn. You can grab either of these, and it doesn't super matter. I usually like to grab the copy of Chamber because it's going to give me a free special summon, and then we're going to be able to special summon out to our side of the field a copy of the Abominable Unchained Soul in just a second. This card will actually get popped, which will let us special summon an additional card from the deck, which if you actually use the effect to set the copy of the Prison to your side of the field, you can get even more plays by setting this card instead, because you haven't gotten the pop effect of this card yet, and when you summon out your copy of the Water Twin. So once you summon out the copy of the Water Twin off the Abominable Chamber, you can then use the effect of the Water Twin to pop this card on your side of the field, and it will actually let you summon out the copy of Disasters. This will chain, and you can special summon it to your side of the field, which is going to help you out a little bit. But if you're going first, you're not going to want to use its effect. Special summon out the copy of the Unchained Soul of Disasters to your side of the field, and then now you can start link climbing into some other cards. We've gotten 4 cards on our side of the field. Yes, we did kind of break even, but we have 4 monsters on our side of the field, and we have our graveyard set up, which is really, really helpful. So at this point, you can start link summoning. You can actually link these 2 cards away and summon out a copy of Rage to our side of the field, which is going to give us a lot of plays later on with our setup. It's totally up to you what you go for at this point. If you want to summon out a copy of Phoenix to protect it from being destroyed by battle, or a copy of Service to protect it from being destroyed by monster effects, it's totally up to you, or card effects. It's totally up to you what you set up. I usually just like to leave it like this because these float and it doesn't super matter, because then I can use Rage to link away and go for more plays on the next turn, like summoning another copy of Sorima to my field of the copy of another one of my Unchained monsters. So at this point, if my opponent does summon a monster, I can use the copy of Rage to be able to summon out a copy of our Anguish to our side of the field, and then I can actually use the Ash Blossom to negate the opponent. And if my opponent does destroy the copy of Sorima by a monster effect or a card effect or by battle or anything, I can special summon out a copy of another Unchained card to my side of the field, which is really helpful just to get that additional monster to my side of the field, because all of our Unchained monsters float, which is really good. So our opponent's going to pass back to us. We're going to draw for turn. We're going to activate that secret password, and then once we activate that secret password, it's going to let us add Trouble Sunny, activate the Trouble Sunny, and the Trouble Sunny lets us grab from the deck a copy of one of our Live Twin cards, which we're going to add the copy of Live Twin Kiss-a-Kill from our deck to our hand. And the important thing to keep in mind about this is the copies of our cards require 2 monsters, including a Kiss-a-Kill monster or a copy of a Lila monster. So you can use the Unchained cards to actually go in for your copies of your Evil Twin. So you can actually just normal summon this card out to your side of the field. And once you normal summon this out to your field, you can link away these 2 cards on your side of the field to then start link climbing, which is really cool, by summoning out the copy of the Kiss-a-Kill. And Kiss-a-Kill has the ability that if this card is special summoned and you control a Lila monster, you get to draw a card. But then during the main phase, if you don't control a Lila monster, quick effect, you can special summon a Lila monster from the graveyard. So we don't control a Lila monster, so we can actually special summon a copy of a Lila monster from the graveyard if we want to, or you can do it a little bit differently. Instead of summoning this card, you can just normal summon those 2 monsters out to your side of the field, and then link into a different card, like a copy of Phoenix or Cerberus or anything that you want to go for. If you want to go a different route, instead of summoning out the copy of the Kiss-a-Kill monster, you can just leave these cards on the field and link away for a copy of a higher level monster. If you want to, or higher rank monster, if you want to go a different route with that and summon out, say, a copy of the Unchained Abomination, which is going to give us even more plays to set up for, and then you can link these 2 monsters away to go in for another copy of Rage to be able to set up for another play to link summon away more cards, which is really helpful for this particular setup. If you had a Lilla monster in the graveyard, you could actually bring out the Lilla monster and go for additional plays, but since we don't have a Lilla monster, you can't really use this for anything more than a normal summon, which is a little bit unfortunate, but setting up this board is still really good because you can link away an opponent's card, and this is going to give you like 3 pops per turn, which is really good. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for one more quick test hand and see what we can pull off, because as you guys can see, the deck is super consistent. I love the way the two archetypes just move together. Like, all the restrictions that both of these archetypes actually have basically turn off when you mix them together, except for the Kissikill and the Lilla monsters. When they're normal summon, if you control another monster, you can't special summon from the deck, but it still is really good to be able to pull off some of these plays, to be able to go in for all these different crazy cool summons on our side of the field, because you're going to get the maximum potential out of this deck. So let's go ahead and see what we're going to do for the last test hand. We're going to draw into a copy of the Abomination's Prison, a copy of Kissikill Frost, the copy of the Water Twin, Abominable Chamber, and a copy of Ash. This is still fine. You don't have a copy of the Evil Twin monster, but again, if you don't draw into them, you just play Unchained, which is fine. So we're going to go ahead and activate the copy of the Abomination's Prison. We're going to grab from the deck the Fire Twin. Once you grab the copy of the Fire Twin, we're going to be able to set to our side of the field a copy of the Abomination's Chamber. We're going to set that card to our side of the field. Normal summon out the copy of the Rika, and then we're going to pop this card to be able to special summon out this. This effect will go off, and then you can actually leave that card on the field if you want to, and pop the face down card, and then the face down card is going to let us special summon out the copy of the Sorma. Again, Sorma's effect will go off, set the copy of this, and then pop the copy of the Water Twin on our side of the field, letting us special summon out the Unchained Soul of Disaster to our field, which is going to just give us all those different plays to be able to link summon and link climb into a Rage, which is just super helpful. So at this point, you can then link away the Fire Twin and this to summon out the copy of Rage, and then pass against the opponent, which you also have the effect of your Abomination or Abominable Chamber. If you link summon, you can just bring this card right back to your field and go off from there. You also have the Ash to stop the opponent. You have this to link something away to climb into your copy of Anguish, or you can summon a copy of Unicorn to get us a spin by discarding the copy of Frost, because it doesn't matter to get the Frost in the graveyard. So if we draw into a Lilla or one of the 9 cards that are 6 cards that can search Lilla plus the 3 Lillas that are in the deck, you can still go in for plays, which is what's really nice if you do draw into those cards. So we're going to summon out this card, discard a card, and bounce it, and then you can activate the copy of the Abominable Chamber. And once we activate the Abominable Chamber, you can then just bring back the copy of Rage because it's an Unchained monster. And then once you do that, you can basically let your opponent's going to let you go, draw a copy of the Effect Veiler, and then you can basically link with another card that your opponent controls if you want to, or you can link climb if you want to into a copy of our Abomination for more plays. And then you can link away this for a copy of Anguish, and then you can link away the Anguish for a copy of Griffin because you can use it during your turn. And now you're basically skill draining your opponent, which is really cool because now you have the Abomination and the copy of Griffin. And then the Griffin is going to let us set on our side of the field one of our spells or traps, which can be the copy of Chamber because we can just bring back the copy of Anguish later. And then we're going to discard the Effect Veiler for cost, and then we get to draw a card because it was co-linked, which is an Imperial Order, which is totally set up all over again, where we basically during our opponent's turn activate this, they're getting skill drained, and they can activate spells. So they're set basically down to monster effects in the hand, in the graveyard, and traps that can activate spells. And we have the copy of the Abominable Chamber, which can let us bring back the copy of our Anguish to our side of the field, which then later on we can just link climb even more, because if we draw into the next turn, we're going to draw into the Sunny Snitch, which we can activate that, which I'm showing you guys how you can go in for the grind game. Since we have the copy of the Kissikill in the graveyard, we can just normal summon out that copy of Lilla to our field, link these 2 monsters away as level or link 1s, summon out the copy of the Lilla on our field, and since we don't control a copy of our Kissikill, we can bring back that copy of Kissikill Frost, and then we can link these 2 cards away for our copy of our Kissikill on our field. Kissikill will activate, it's bringing back the copy of Lilla. We get a pop against the opponent, And then we also get the effect to be able to link these two cards away for a copy of Trouble Sunny, because they're all co-linked on the field. And then you also have the Abominable Chamber, which is just going to get you all those different plays, which is just absolutely incredible. This is an incredible setup with what the deck can do, just to show you guys all the different potential that this deck can go in for. I love the way it plays. As you guys can see, we have 4 link 4s, or 3 link 4s on the field, and it's just really good. Like, you have all your boss monsters on the field, and you can even tag this out during your opponent's turn and summon both of these back to the field in the adjacent zones of the Griffin to be able to draw an additional card and get an additional pop against the opponent, which is just going to help out a lot to be able to go in for all of those crazy plays that we're going to want to go for. So I think that's going to do it for this one, guys. This is an insanely cool deck. I really love the way that it plays. It is just absolutely incredible. It's really cool to be able to play, and it's really cheap. Like, it's not super expensive besides the Lilla and Kill Link monsters, because Unchained have been reprinted, and a lot of the cards in the extra deck has been reprinted, but the main deck is not crazy. The only thing that's kind of expensive is the Ash Blossoms, but you can change those out if you want to change out the Ash Blossoms for another hand trap, and the copies of the Link monsters that are the Kill and the Lilla. But if you're wanting to play Evil Twins, this is a great way to do it, because you can actually just play 2 of each of the Lilla and the Kill instead of 3 and 2 in the average build. And if you guys would like to check out the deck profile, it is always down in the description down below for every single one of the test hand videos. But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely tell me what you think of this test down in the comments down below, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.